Hi guys, this is Mickey and I'm here with another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about just the worst job experience that I had. So, I used to work at a burger restaurant, and I don't want to say the actual name, I don't know, I just feel like it's probably a better idea not to say the actual name. So, I'll just call it Inside Out Burger and say it's a really popular West Coast burger chain that's super hyped and started in California. So I used to work at this burger restaurant. It was my first job. And I'll start with saying that I think this place is usually a really good place to work. And I'd honestly still recommend it as a great place to work. They treat their employees really well. They pay really well, especially for fast food. They will teach you some really great lessons that I feel like if you work there and you learn those lessons, that's something that is super valuable and you'll always use for the rest of your life. And it's mostly a really positive work environment. I'd say that the horrible things that I went through is a very rare occasion and wouldn't usually happen when you work there. And it's honestly just all due to the store manager, the one who's most in charge of that store. And I'm just going to call him Fred. That's not his actual name, but we'll just call him Fred. So Fred just made my life a living hell when I worked for him at Inside Out Burger. And it's just all completely his doing why I had such a terrible experience there. So I'll say that as a whole, I worked for this company for 4 years. I started working for them in a small town that I grew up in Nevada, and I was working there for 2 years, and I had a really good time there. There's a lot of levels in this job, so there's basically 6 skill levels. So once you train on a skill and you a manager watches you and says oh, you've passed, I believe that you are well skilled enough in this task that you can get a raise, you'll get 1 level higher. So there's 6 levels as far as skills goes, and then the 7th level is training for management. So I worked at this one restaurant for 2 years in Nevada, and I was working very low hours because I was doing so much in high school. So I'd pretty much work on just the weekends, and only on the weekends where I didn't have a sport tournament to go to. So 2 years of working very little hours, I was able to get 4 raises. So I was at my level 4. And like I said, each level is a skill. So I've had to train on that skill, practice it a lot, and then have a couple managers watch me and say, I think you're well enough at this skill that you can move on to the next one. So I was trained enough for these 4 skills, and I had gotten 4 raises in 2 years. And then I transferred to Arizona, where I was going to college, and I started working for 2 more years in the Arizona store, which is where Fred became my manager. And also at this specific store, Fred was actually somebody who is the one who trains future managers. So when you're level 7 and you're training to be a manager, and you need to now be watched and observed, and then by a manager who tells you, you've passed and you can now become a manager, certify you to be a manager. And then the whole company, there's only 11 managers who have this ability to watch somebody for a week and say yes or no, you can now become a manager, you've passed. So my manager, Fred, was one of these. So we had a lot of level 7s come in, and they would run the store for a week, and then Fred would watch and then say, you know, you've passed or you've not passed. So the thing that made just it so horrible was like, so for another 2 years of working at this store, I actually worked significantly more hours. Not really what I wanted to do, because I did want to just focus on college and not really work a ton of hours, but he had made me work a ton of hours. So I was working a ton of hours, worked there for another 2 years, significantly more hours than I worked the last 2 years. And I had gotten one raise in those 2 years. And like, I was a college student. I preferred morning classes, so I would start my classes at 7 a.m. and I'd be done with classes by like noon at the latest. So I had put my availability from 1 o'clock till 10 p.m., which is like a pretty wide availability. And we used to have this app where you could like put your availability in there and like request time off, like call off sick. All of it was done on the app. And I know that he gets like emailed or notified anytime like updates are made on the app. So I used to put on the app like my availability is from 1 to 10 p.m. Like, I didn't want to work later than 10 because I have 7 a.m. classes, which was still like very generous for someone who has to get up at like 6 in the morning to get to their classes. Being able to clock out at 10 p.m. is actually very like a generous window of time. And then I just, you know, my availability was just open on the weekends. Just, you know, school nights, 10 p.m. is like the latest I want to work. And for like the 2 years that I worked there, he would always schedule me 8 to close. And we close at like 1:30. And if you close and you still have to like clean everything, sometimes we wouldn't even clock out till like 3:30. So I'm just constantly being put on this schedule, 8 to close, 8 to close. I'd be getting off work at like 3:30 in the morning, and I have to get to class at 7 a.m. And I constantly told this man, I cannot keep working closing shifts. Like, my availability closes at 10. I have 7 a.m. classes. Why are you doing this? Like, why can't I clock in at like 12 or 1 o'clock or even like 5 to 10? Like, why are you making me work these schedules? Like, there's no other like, I'll say this burger restaurant was so close to the college that I was going to that like probably like more than 30% of the staff there, like probably like 40% of the staff there went to that college also. So a bunch of us are college students. Like, no other college student is going through this. Like, I don't know why he's constantly doing this to me. And I'd step into his office and be like, can we talk? Can you please, like, I'll work the schedule you've done so far. I'll work these 2-3 weeks you've already made. But for future, could you please stop scheduling me 8 to close? Like, I do not want to work later than 10 p.m. My availability closes at 10 p.m. because I do have very, very early classes. I'm out of class at like noon. I can work literally, I could even clock in like 12:30 if you needed me to. I will come right after class, but please, I don't want to work later than 10 p.m. And he always was like, oh yes, I'm so sorry, like, I got you for sure. Every time we'd have the conversation, and it just never happened. I was always constantly 8 to close, and I don't know why. And I'd even like constantly on the app just like put in a request to change my availability and like not even really adjust it, like maybe adjust it like 30 minutes or something, just so that he'd get notified like over and over and over again that my availability, I'm like putting it in his face, like, I do not want to work past 10. I do not want to work past 10. Just sending him constant notifications, changing the availability on the app so that he can see that I don't want to work past 10. And he would just constantly make me work 8 to close. And that's also like, it's also like a lot of hours, like, because I've been working 8 to close like 5 days a week. And I didn't really want to work that much. Like, I was happy with working like 2 6-hour shifts a week, and I would have been really happy. And if you wanted to work me 8 to close like that on a weekend, totally fine. If you want me to like only work the weekends, totally fine. It was horrible. Like, I would just fall asleep in my class all the time. I'd fall asleep during exams. I was like, this is just completely unsustainable. Like, I can't keep working like this. Like, I just want my degree. I just want to focus on school. Like, I don't even really want to be, like, you know, pursue this job long term. Or, like, try to get through, like, my goal is to get to management. No, but, so that was, like, the hours part. Like, that's what really sucked about the job, like, hourly. But the worst part of it wasn't even that. And I don't know why I just put up with that for 2 years and just worked the 8 to close for 2 years when it was just making me suffer. But I don't know. I really don't know why I put up with it for so long, but I did. Maybe part of it was I had a lot of friends that I worked with, and I even worked with my sister. But it was just, that was really crazy to just work through that. But again, not the worst part. So I'd have mentioned how I gotten 4 raises at the last store that I worked at. And in this store, in the 2 years that I worked there, I had only gotten 1 raise. And I would constantly ask that manager and also all the other managers that were on shift, because I think the manager staff is usually like 3 to 4 managers. And I would just ask them, like, can I please train on to get my level 5? And they'd always say, like, oh, for sure, yeah, like, eventually. And I'd ask constantly. And it just got to a point where I was like, okay, well, you know, it's been almost 2 years. Like, how much more can I ask? But anytime I'd complain about that with my coworkers and both my sisters who also worked at this restaurant, they were always just like, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, so just keep asking. So I did. For 2 years, I would constantly ask. And another part of this job that was so degrading was that even though I was a level 4 and I had those 4 skills that I had acquired, and somebody had said, you know, you deserve a raise because you've passed. I've watched you and I say you've passed, like you have, like you've mastered these 4 skills, here's your raise. He would, like that whole 2 years I worked at that store, they would only have me do level 2 work. I never even got close to doing level 3, let alone level 4 work. And I'd always ask, like, why can't I do level 4 stuff? Like, I'm actually really good at that stuff. Like, you know, like, you'd actually be really surprised if you put me on there. Like, give me a chance. And I'd even say, like, my sister could tell you, I'm a good level 4. Like, I can do level 4 skills. And my sister's like, yeah, she's actually really good. Like, why don't you let her do it? And he's like, oh, yeah, eventually, for sure, I will definitely let you do level 4 stuff. But right now, like, I literally had 2 positions that I would do only. Only these 2 positions for the whole 2 fucking years that I worked there. Which was the pay window, which is like in the drive-thru. You stop at the first window, you know, pay for your meal, and then you go to the second window, get your meal. So I would only just charge all the cars for the meals, and I would only take the orders outside, handheld. Those are the only 2 positions I did for like the 2 years at that store, which handheld was fucking brutal. It was so hot because it's Arizona and it gets like 105 degrees outside. And technically we're not supposed to be outside doing handheld at all if it's over 95 degrees. But that didn't stop Fred. I was outside all the time in 105 degrees. And even the handheld, like, little iPad device thing didn't work when it was that hot outside. So it was just brutal. I would go outside and I would get everyone's orders, the whole line. And like, if you know what restaurant I'm talking about, you know these drive-thru lines be really fucking crazy. I would just get everyone's order as fast as I can throughout this line. Probably take me like 15 minutes or something. And then I would just remember the last car I take. It's like, okay, blue truck. And then I would go inside and I'd get an ice water and I would sit in the refrigerator and drink my ice water, just trying to cool down. And then I would watch the camera until that blue car got to the speaker, and then I'd go outside and do it again and come inside and drink an ice water in the fridge because it's that hot outside. And that was my shift all the time, was just going outside in this freaking hot weather and then just trying to get as many cars as fast as I can done so I can go sit in the refrigerator for 15 minutes and then go outside again. But yeah, so those are the only 2 jobs he ever had me do, which are both like level 2 jobs. Like a level 2 can do those jobs. So I'm not doing level 3 stuff. I'm not doing level 4 stuff. And I would like ask the man, like, because eventually I got close to one of the managers. Like, we were pretty good buds. And I was like, why is this happening? Like, why do I always ask like, if I can do level 4 stuff, let alone train for my level 5? And everyone keeps telling me no. And he's just like, no, like, I got you for sure. Like, I'm going to be the one to help you. And like a handful of times I did level 4 stuff. And everyone around me would just like, so level 4 is fries. Everyone would just like drop fries into baskets for me, just like constantly, like, which you only really do if somebody's behind. So I think everyone in the store like assumed I was behind, and they were just constantly, and I'm just throwing away all of these fries because I'm like, I know how many fries I need. I know how to gauge these things because I'm actually like good at being a level 4. I don't need you to drop in any more baskets. And I would yell at people like, stop dropping me baskets. Just everyone, I'm like, please stop. And they're still doing it. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I would show them this huge basket and be like, do you see, I'm throwing this away because you're dropping too many baskets. Everyone in the store just like assumed I was behind and like needed all this help. Or maybe they just wanted to kick me off of fries and be like, she's throwing away a bunch of fries, get her off of there. I don't know what it was, but that would happen to me every time I was on fries. It was ridiculous. And then one time we had a manager, or we had a level 7 who came in to work for their week, to get watched by Fred, work their week. And these people are coming into a store, they don't know anybody at all. And so whenever we'd have somebody there on their week, there would be a printout of everyone's names, you know, the shifts that they work, the hours that they're working. And it would also say their level number next to them, so that the person who's there in the week plans, you know, who's going to do what position, who's going to give these people a break, and, you know, the rotation, because you like really were only supposed to work a position for so many hours because we needed to rotate so no one got carpal tunnel and stuff like that. So they'd plan out the whole shift, right, on the sheet of paper, just who's gonna give who a break, who's gonna rotate, and all this stuff. And the level 7 is talking to Fred and just giving him his game plan. And at one point he said, like, I'm gonna have Mickey give the fry person a break, and it was literally only going to be like a 30 minutes, like, and then the fry person would come back and take the position back, because she's level 4, and obviously she can do fries if she's level 4, and then they're going to give this person a break for 30 minutes. And Fred didn't know I was right behind him listening, and he literally said, like, oh no, not Mickey, like, Mickey can't really do fries. It's better to have this person do the break instead. And I'm just like, why would he say that? Like, he's never even seen me on a fries. Like, I've been working here for a year, begging him to let me show him that I can do fries, and he never gave me the chance. So I'm like, what does he mean, like, better this person? No, please don't put Mickey on fries. She's not good at fries. Like, he literally told this person that when he's never even seen me on fries, and I don't understand why this was happening. And I'm just like, okay, it makes sense. Like, he's telling all of the higher levels and all of the managers and even the people who are level 7s on their week, Mickey's no good at her job. And then it got to the point where anytime I'd ask to do fries or ask to train for my level 5, I would constantly be told, like, no, you're not good enough, like, you're not good at your job, so we can't give you training. And I'm just like, please, like, give me a chance. You've never even seen me on fries. And they're always just like, no, you're not good enough. And I was just put up with 2 years of being told I'm not good enough. And it was honestly, like, really, really horrible for my self-esteem. And, like, it just became, like, a really toxic work environment. And it was honestly, like, trauma when I look back on it. Like, the 2 years that I put up with working these crazy hours when I have class in the morning, and just being constantly told by all my managers and higher ups that I'm not good enough, and just feeling like you guys won't even give me a chance. Like, I just didn't get it. And, like, one thing that comes from working at a smaller town like I did was sometimes the rush would hit you, and we've already sent everybody home because it's been so slow for like 4 hours already, and then the rush would come, and we don't have a lot of hands. So I was put in that position pretty much every time I worked. I would do the fries. There'd be 2 grills just busting out as many burgers as they possibly can. 2 grills going full blast. And on a busy weekend, and you work at a busy store like I did in Phoenix, the fry station would be like 4 people. There would be a dicer loader, there would be a portioner, and there would be a handout. And on really busy times, there would also be a quarterback, but ignore the quarterback part. So fries is like a 3-person job generally when you're at a busy store. But when you're at a really slow store and the rush comes and we don't have a lot of hands, we've got 2 girls going full blast and I'm alone. I'm dicing, loading, I'm portioning, and I'm handing out all of the orders. I'm handing out every order to the counter. And I'm pouring every single shake that any counter ordered, and I'm making every single animal fry that any counter order or any drive-thru order is ordering. And it's just, I'm doing the work of 3 people all by myself, and I promise you will not wait on fries if you put me on fries. And that was just a normal work day for me working in a small town, because that's just so normal. So I got really comfortable with it, like super easy. 2 years, 2 girls going full blast. I'm all alone doing 3 people's jobs, and that's just how you worked at Inside Out Burger in the small town. And so I was telling people in this busy store who would never do fries without 3 people, like, I promise you could put 2 grills going full blast on me, take away the dice loader, take away the handheld, put me alone on fries, and you will not wait on fries. And, like, I would tell people this and nobody would believe me and nobody would give me a chance. Anytime I was on fries, I was kicked out because I'm throwing away fries like crazy, and I just don't understand why it was such a traumatic work experience. But eventually I got out of it, and in one way I'm kind of grateful for that job being so horrible, because if that job wasn't so horrible, I probably would even still be working there, because they pay well and I just never really imagined leaving. But one day in the drive-thru, like I said, most of my shifts, I would just be like charging all the cars, and it gets so boring. So all I'm doing is, this transaction. So one way that I made it less boring for myself was every time somebody would hand me the money, like if they handed me cash and I press cash, the register takes like, I don't know, like 10 seconds to even open, and then I'm getting all the money. Pretty much all that transaction part, it's like a whole 30 seconds. So anytime someone hands me money, I would ask like, so how's your day been? And then they would tell me about their day, and getting to have those like personal connections with people. Sometimes people would tell me like crazy stuff, like really sad stories about how their day's going, or just really positive things, and it just helped get through the day. Because sometimes people tell me really cool things and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. That's actually really cool. We would just vibe for those 30 seconds. Like, it just made the day better. I guess I just like connecting with people. I enjoy that part of customer service. So I would do that. Or anytime even like you tap your card, like it takes like still 30 seconds for the like card reader to process, and then for the receipt to print out. It's like 30 seconds, and it used to just be like this awkward silence of 30 seconds, and eventually I just started talking to people instead. And one day somebody came into the drive-thru and I was like, so how's your day been? And they were like, really good, I just got off work. I'm like, that's cool, like just, you know, making a personal connection with somebody in the drive-thru. And then she goes like, oh, have you ever heard of this dealership? And I was like, no, I haven't. And she was like, well, here's my card, I'm manager there, and I'd actually really love to hire you on my team. I think you'd be really good in sales. And I was just like so taken back at it, like, whoa, like, well, do you work well in the college schedule? And she said, we work really well with the college schedule. It's like, oh shoot, like, and then she goes, and I bet you will make more money than what you make here. And in my head, I was like, she doesn't know what I make here. Like, she probably thinks I make minimum wage, like most burger restaurant employees do. And at the time, I think minimum wage was like $9. So I'm like, she has no idea I'm making almost $16 an hour, like way more than minimum wage. Like, it's probably not a lot more than that. I'm making $16 an hour, which is well above minimum wage. Like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So I really brushed it off and just didn't think about it. And that was like when I first started working in that Phoenix store. So that's like before the 2 years of trauma happened. So then eventually when the trauma got like so bad and the work environment got so toxic, I was like, why don't I go do that sales job that lady was talking about? She said she'd hire me. I'm going to apply right now. I'm going to get hired and I'm going to get out of this place. And so I'm actually really grateful that that job was so horrible that it pushed me to pursue other things, because I actually really enjoy sales. And I'm super fortunate to have this job where I can sell cars and I can make really good money for working a couple hours a day. Like, I literally work a 3-hour shift and I'm working 20 hours a week total, and I am living really comfortably. So thank you, Fred, for making my life hell for 2 years, because then I wouldn't have found like the job that I have now. Yeah, that's pretty much been my Inside Out Burger experience. I hope you guys like this video. This is definitely a longer one. But yeah, like and subscribe if you enjoy this content, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!